Today on Two Decent Blocks.
As much as we want to come down on fresh and fits and guys in the mantra, there's women with huge platforms too that's talking really bad about black men.
Now, the issue that most people took wasn't that they had preferences, quote unquote.
Why?
It was the way they.
Nigga said, me and Fresh were not really down with the brown like that.
So I think there's a difference there. So when he describes it, he's not describing all black women. He's describing a sector within a demographic, not the entire demographic.
There's a segment of the African American community who, once they make it up a corporate ladder, a status ladder, they want to be closer to their Caucasian counterparts.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Today on the Two Decent Blocks.
As much as we want to come down on fresh and fits and guys in the mantra, there's women with huge platforms too that's talking really bad about black men.
Ruslans.
Okay.
Fresh and Fit have been in hot water all week about some comments they made about black women. Check it out.
Just keeping it real, I don't really date black girls. Most black girls are like annoying, ratchet, and they don't know how to like be reserved.
I mean, hey, bro. If you
Hey,
want
when there,
a bunch
bro?
of Shaniquas, go for it, man. Look who it's just. Yeah, me and Fresh aren't really down with the brown like that. We ain't night riders. In general, me and Fresh don't dabble in the dark, if you know what I'm saying.
Now, the issue that most people took wasn't
Was
that
it?
they had
Yeah.
preferences, quote unquote.
Why?
It was the way they.
Nigga said, me and Fresh were not really down with the brown like that. Okay. Oh, God. Let's
Use
go.
caricatures and broad generalizations to describe an entire demographic of women that many found harmful. So I thought it'd be appropriate to have some of my friends who provided commentary on the red pill manosphere community and ask the question, what is the difference between what Kevin Samuels has been saying and what Fresh and Fit said in this video? Is there a difference? Check out their.
Okay, so he just spoke of people that commented on the red pill community. In case this is, your first time hearing it, it's an entire group of, I guess it's a man-centered movement, really trying to, in some way, equalize the whole conversation in relationships, to kind of look at it from the man's perspective and to kind of put some sort of balance. There are elements within the red pill community that are really, or at least have taken it to a point where they are trying to not even deal with women at all. And, I mean, you find all that in a movement, obviously. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what the red pill would be described as. I might not have done justice on it, but, if you have time to look it up. Okay.
Responses. I'm not saying this is like a virtue signal. My wife has 4 black sisters. My wife is black. If this isn't a caricature and an absolute ignorant broad generalization, I don't know what is. As black men, how do you guys process their...
Okay. I don't want speed to overtake us here.
Mhm.
So you say that if this is not ignorant, broad generalizations, I don't know what it is. So he's saying what Fresh and Fit said is ignorant and is broad generalizations, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I will have more to say about that, but let's hear them out.
Okay.
critiques, both Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit. I understand they're different. I understand Kevin Samuels, I think, is genuinely trying to help, but how would you guys process those specific critiques that Kevin Samuels has made over the years, as well as Fresh and Fit?
I'm going to echo
Kevin
what Joe Biden
Samuels
said, but I'm going to try to do it in a Christian way.
But you know how many women hate Kevin Samuels?
Okay. This guy is about to do it in a Christian way. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear it.
They do not have experiences with black women. And I think that the negative interactions that they had with some black women has poisoned their characteristics on black women.
Fresh and Fit's
What?
statement.
Wait.
Okay. Yeah, we need to
Wait.
discuss that.
So, okay, I'll start. Okay. So, first of all, the host, he calls their opinions ignorant and broad generalizations, right? First of all, ignorant meaning that they lack knowledge or awareness in general, right? If you take the dictionary meaning like they're uneducated or unsophisticated, which these guys, as a matter of fact, they interact daily with varied samples of black women, much so than an average man.
Exactly.
So if anyone would be knowledgeable of what they are talking about, is them.
Yeah. No,
Then
they have a show. It's called Fresh and Fit.
yeah,
And yeah,
and
and
Kevin
women
Summers,
come and talk to them, same as Kevin Summers too. Yeah.
yeah. Then he also says they are broad generalizations. First of
Mhm.
all, like that phrase is meaningless because generalizations by
Abroad.
definition are broad. And what do you expect him to do? You expect him to account for the behavior of every single black woman in order for
Wait.
you to accept his thesis?
So this is how most people I heard that make this point would like you to speak. And I'm just trying to emphasize this so that we know how ridiculous it would sound. All black men like Jordans, but then there's another portion of black men that don't really like Jordans. And
Yeah.
the portion that doesn't like Jordan shoes, they like Pumas. And but of the ones that like Pumas, not all of them like just like the white Pumas. They like the black ones. But the ones that like the black ones, they are the ones that like. It's like we can play this game the whole day.
There are
What is
exceptions to every
exactly
rule.
this? The exception does not disprove the rule. The exception
Yeah.
actually supports the rule.
Supposed to. And you see, the other guy says, uh, he doesn't have experience with black women. Then he says,
How do you know that?
then he says they have negative experiences with some black women that has poisoned their characterizations of black women, right?
Uh-huh.
Come on, man. What does that even mean? Do you expect him to experience all black women in order for you to accept his conclusions?
He has to meet at least a couple million black women for his opinion to be a lot sound. He's not a census guy.
Yeah.
He's just living his life.
Okay.
If you meet let's say in your whole life, because I know it takes very small samples for us to arrive at a lot of conclusions we make in our day-to-day lives.
Mhm.
You try to date, and let's say you do meet 10 African American women, and maybe out of those 10, 8 of them are in some way, let's say they're just not good or pleasant to be around for one reason or the other. They're either combative, all the things that we get to be told are usually associated with African American women. Let's say for argument's sake, that's what you decide, that's what you experience. In what way does another person have the right to come and say what you experience with those 10 women is not true because a million other women are somewhere elsewhere? Like they are different, they're pleasant. These guys, if you don't spend the day with the guys, how many women do you know they're hitting on? How many women do you know they're in their DMs? How many? You don't know anything about someone's life to be really down to the T. So for you to just say they don't know, and how do we know you know what you're talking about? Okay, well, they don't know. What's your actual evidence that you do know what you're talking about?
Yeah. Okay. It's like
About the Shaniqua took me back to that movie, The Birth of a Nation.
Mm.
It painted every black person post slavery in one specific light, right?
Mm.
And it made people create generations of implicit bias against black people. And now you have
my
Fresh and Fit
goodness.
saying, I don't do brown. You can date a Shaniqua if you want to. First off, I have a niece named Shaniqua. She's dope. The difference, though, with them and Kevin Samuels is Kevin Samuels understands that there's some black women who are great women. Yet, and still, there's some.
They are, and I just stopped this for a reason. For everyone that's watching us right now, because I know this is pretty simple, but sometimes it feels like people really just want to hear you say it for the sake of saying
Yeah.
it. Not
Yeah.
every black woman is rude, combative, and ghetto and ratchet.
Yeah.
We know that.
Of
That's a
course.
foregone conclusion.
Of course.
There's some beautiful black women that are lawyers, that are leading in industries, that are housewives and everything. We have all that. The question is, to what degree do we have the wretched
Yeah.
ones versus the non-wretched ones? And to also say, versus the other communities that we have, could be white, could be Asian, could be Hispanic. What's the degree of the people that are unruly that you find in those communities versus in the black community? For you to either justify the statement or to say it's not justified. That's the way you should be looking at it. Because this whole, not all people are this and that, it's just not an argument. It's a deflection tactic.
Yeah. And here is some hyperbole. So he says that um, the comments made by Fresh and Fit, they remind him of a movie called The Birth of a Nation. It was previously titled The Klansman. So for those who don't know, this movie was produced in and released in 1915. So it's a very long time ago. And those days, obviously, it had a cultural impact with how white people in general perceived black people, which is understandable given the power of popular culture. So he is saying that the statements that these particular black men, Fresh and Fit, have said about their decision not to date black women has the same potential to negatively affect how society will view black women. Like
Okay.
that's essentially what he is saying, which is ridiculous.
And I want to ask this. Some of these arguments, they're made, and it's like people don't have televisions no more. If you've gone on BET or on award ceremonies and you see Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion grinding on each other on television, do you really think that it's going to take these two guys with a few 100,000 subscribers on YouTube
Yeah.
for people to think, well, this is a little out there?
Yeah, I started knowing about Fresh and Fit like 3 weeks ago, something like that.
I think people have already had this opinion about black women a long time ago. And we are not doing
Exactly.
ourselves favors when Cardi B goes and sings I don't cook, I don't clean, and we say she can express herself the way she wants to. Especially all the good black women. And this is the problem that I've seen, that yes, we have the good women, right? And I'm putting that in quotes. But if you see the unruly women acting the way they act, and men are complaining that that's not good, but your answer is to say they should be allowed to do what they want, and you talking about them is bashing them, you're not in any way helping us then to be able to differentiate if you are with the good women or the bad women. And that's what most black women that I've seen and most modern women that I've seen do. When the bad behavior is being corrected, they don't take the side of the man, because it becomes a man versus women fight, better off the sexes type of thing. And then it's like, well, if you think that's fine, no, I don't do it. I don't do what they do, but you can't say anything about it. It's like, so are you there or not?
Just to emphasize what you were saying, to reiterate, right? Of course, he's not describing all black women. Nobody can, right? So that has to be a foregone conclusion. But the reason why these men keep on saying that they are talking about black women, they're trying to find an easy argument to destroy. So the easy argument, if somebody says, yeah, all black women are like that, obviously everyone will look at them as if they are crazy.
I have one example of a black woman, not exactly what you just said. So your whole point is wrong.
Yeah, that's what they are trying to do. But he did not say all black women behave this way. They talk as if their own life, like in their own lives, they judge people as individuals, but nobody does, right? They are afraid that this might stereotype black women in general as maybe impossible to date. And the reason why we have stereotypes, and they are called stereotypes, is there is a reason. And that reason is knowledge is not free. It costs you your time and your money, and sometimes it can cost you your life to get information. So I'll give you one example. Suppose you are walking down the street, right, at midnight, and in a sketchy neighborhood, and you see a shadowy figure that looks like a man in the dark, right? So do you judge that person as an individual? That is to say, do you approach them and try to small talk them to get to know them and see if they are murderers or your elderly neighbor who needs some help getting home? Most people just run. You just avoid it because we generalize. We use generalizations. We categorize information and group people because knowledge is not free. Nobody has time to interview every black woman and see if they are combative or not.
And the reason also to kind of piggyback on your point is because we are pessimistic people. We come from pessimistic our ancestors, exactly, evolutionary in nature, that our ancestors that were pessimistic are the ones that got to survive. The ones that were always kind of optimistic dealt with the problem. To say, if we're walking in the jungle and we hear a sound, the ancestor that believed it was nothing and was optimistic would get eaten by the lion, whilst the ancestor that thought it could be trouble would survive half of the time. And from there we come. So when a man or a woman, well, where a man basically is trying to deal with a group of women where maybe chances 50% of it, this woman might be compatible or whatever, then you do get that stereotype, and it is true for probably half of the time. Who would jump into surgery where there's a 50% of survival? I'm just asking.
Okay, let's hear them out.
Okay.
Black women who can be a little what they call ratchet. So I think there's a difference there. So when he describes it, he's not describing all black women. He's describing a sector within a demographic, not the entire demographic. But even still, both can be, if you're not giving the context, it can be harmful to black women, because to say that all black women behave that way.
There's a segment of the African American community who, once they make it up a corporate ladder, a status ladder, they want to be closer to their Caucasian counterparts. So once they come closer to and they identify closer to their Caucasian counterparts, they start to emulate and want the same things that their Caucasian counterparts find valuable. Ruslan, don't get offended, but Kanye West is,
oh my goodness,
is that type of guy, right? So if you ever notice Kanye West, when he starts talking about anything, he always brings up he name drops like a billion white guys that he's trying to be in the same tier as.
And what's actually ironic about that?
Yeah.
He used the word billion.
Yeah. How many black men are billionaires?
When Kanye is a billionaire.
Yeah.
And so when he's talking about guys that he's trying to emulate to get to, he's trying to be a billionaire. How many more billionaires do you know? I can tell you, I mean, in the world, we have like close to 2,000 billionaires. Probably 10 or 14 of them are black. And of those, most of them are actually in Africa. America only has probably 3 or 4. We have Oprah, we have should be Robert Smith, Kanye, Jay-Z. I think those are Jordan, and then Jordan. Those are the only billionaires we know. So yes, if he's talking about people he wants to be like, ultimately that is going to be probably white or Asian or whatever it is.
And you see one thing here, any black man who would try and succeed and do something that is not common in Black American culture, they call him a self-hating black man or a coon. Why is that? Like, what is wrong about Kanye West emulating to higher standards? What is wrong about that? These people are the actual racists. What is wrong about me looking up to someone who is a successful businessman like Michael Bloomberg? Just because I'm black, I can't do that. Who is racist now?
And you know what's funny? We're talking about a billionaire, and he has billionaire habits. And people who are not even worth $1 million are trying to critique his habits. What makes you think you can critique a billionaire? Like, I really want to understand. Really, like, the guy is proven you are not, and you are sitting from a high and mighty place because you've done what?
You know what it is? It's arrogance. Now, this is worse arrogance because it's masquerading as Christianity. Because remember what they said, I'm going to talk from a Christian perspective. What is Christian about racism? Blatant racism that he is saying here.
Well, they wouldn't take it as racism because they changed the definition of racism. He doesn't have systematic power. But my thing is, if you are saying, and I always say this, there's a culture of bashing successful people, separating them from us and saying, no, those people are not part of us. They want to be like white people. There's a culture that literally it has a low level contempt of successful people. We don't celebrate people that are successful the right way. We celebrate all the people that are successful the wrong way.
Yeah, and in the Black American communities, it's actually something that is not new. Like, you look at kids who are doing well in school, who are trying to read, to be educated, and all that stuff, to get high scores on SATs, they are bullied by their counterparts, and they call
trying
them,
to be
"You're
white.
acting white. You're trying to
Yeah.
be white." What they are calling white is being someone who is responsible, someone who is trying to acquire an education. All those characteristics that make for a better society, they demonize them as someone who is a race traitor, or someone who is shunning their culture. But cultures are not museum pieces that have to be preserved. They are supposed to help people function. And if an aspect of your culture is leading to detrimental results, it has to be changed. And you change it by adopting someone else's culture. That's why there is interchange of cultures. You abandon things that don't work, you adopt things that work. That's how you progress. But these guys talking like this, they are trying to preserve cultures that don't work. They want to protect people's feelings. In so doing, they are perpetuating an evil that will continue to haunt the same group of people that they think they are protecting.
Yeah, you can't say in any way that the qualities and traits of success are white or are this, because
Yeah.
if we even try to really look at the most successful people, they're not necessarily white anyway. Like
Yeah.
when you look at per capita, to really look at like populations, even in America, the most successful groups are not even white Americans.
It's not
They're
about
the
race.
Asians. So it's
Yeah.
not really even about that. Wherever you see people that have certain qualities, like for example, you have a culture where they take school seriously, they really, take things like family seriously, you get certain results
Responsibility,
and
accountability.
responsibility and then accountability. It doesn't matter, you go to an Indian, you go to a Nigerian who's black
Yeah.
anyway, and you go to a white family, those principles work for everyone. And this is
They are
the thing that
universal.
that's my problem, that when you try to distance yourself from those qualities, like we see how main black pop stream culture is, it's like you are condemning yourself and your future generations to mediocrity and poverty. And so piggybacking, it back to the topic of when it comes to women, I've always thought this way: if you see guys going for white women that are successful, we don't need to ask them why they left. We need to ask the community why our successful do not find our women in any way as partners they could pair with at that high level, and fix that. We need to be competitive.
Yeah.
But they don't want to compete. They want to just get the high value guys because I'm black and you're black. Entitlement to someone.
It's
How?
ridiculous.
So
Ridiculous. Okay, let's hear these guys out. Maybe they will have something sensible to say, because up to this point they have said nothing.
The thing with Fresh and Fit and Kevin Samuels is, if you really pay attention to what they're saying, they're trying to identify themselves with their white male counterparts. So when they do that, they know that their white male counterparts, if they go for black women, they're going to go for the best of the best black women. It is self-hate. It is, because like I live in Atlanta.
who wouldn't go for the best of the best?
Nice, beautiful black women.
Okay, my question. This guy, if he has a son, I would really like the audience to tell me, do they think he would tell his son, just go for any girl there, or he would want his son or even daughter to go for the best of the best? This is so disingenuous.
It's ridiculous. Okay, I'll say this. So, there's a magazine called Quartz. In 2019, they published some online dating statistics, and the article is titled "The Uncomfortable Racial Preferences Revealed by Online Dating." So remember, these are statistics that were collected from the Facebook dating app. Right. Now, these are the conclusions that they made. So the data showed that all men except Asians preferred Asian women. Do you hear that? All men except Asian men preferred Asian women, while all except black women preferred white men. Now, the other part of their conclusion was that among men, all racial groups preferred another race over their own. So these statistics, they show that it's not even an issue of self-hate, as
Black
he
man,
is
yeah.
trying to say,
Mhm.
or of black men only. All men of all races prefer another race. So by his logic, he is saying that every
You're so
man,
open-minded, bro. Hey, to all the lads, just give yourself a clap. So open-minded, so accommodating and tolerating. We should all be liberals.
but you see, by his conclusion, he is saying that all men are self-hating. But
Yeah.
you see, this is a result of just spewing things without trying to do any research, but focusing on optics and ideology. That's what they are trying
And
to do.
just poetry and symbolism. This is, and I really, this probably is my last point since this video has gone long enough. I
I
think
have more to say about
no,
this.
I
I'm
said
kind of pissed off.
I'm saying my last
Okay.
point. You can have the last one. Yeah. But what I'm saying is my problem with these types of conversations when they're had is they just concentrate on stuff that feels good and not stuff that works. As
Mhm.
men, when I hear another man speak like this, I already know he has been feminized because I can understand a woman speaking like this. I said I can understand because in
Oh my
some
goodness.
ways we are different in the way we talk, but
Mhm.
that's why we have men and we have women. As a
Yeah.
man, you're supposed to come and say, no, I understand your feelings, but this is what works and this is what doesn't work. When I hear
Yeah.
people that call themselves fathers speak from a feminine point of view like that, I get worried. And then for them to come and try to actually just throw Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit and the red pill community under the bus. Now, I also have a problem. Am I saying that these guys should have said what they said the way they did? No, I'm not. And I'm saying if it's possible, speak to people with respect as much as possible. But for us to find ourselves at a place where our women do not even think they are supposed to be our women, they owe us even a
Mhm.
smile when they see us on the street, when they think that they're entitled to our resources and they do not need to do anything to gain it, when our women think that the what we deserve, for example, right now, most of our women, 80% of them are not even of the right weight. They are
Mhm.
obese.
Yeah.
That we do not even deserve for them to try to look good at all. But they deserve the world and they deserve all the romance and they deserve the 6 foot tall guy with 6 feet, annual salary or,
You're
money
talking
and all
about
that.
me?
Well, I don't know if you make that much, but okay, if you want to, we can put you in there. That is the problem that we find ourselves, that there's been no fathers, there's been no discipline in our community whatsoever. Now, there are people who are doing something. It's not perfect, but for you to sit there and look at them like they are the problem in a society that's as dysfunctional as ours today is what really annoys me. To say, okay, you take Kevin Simons away and all these other people that are trying to hold women accountable. Who else is holding women accountable? Because the movies we watch do not do that. The music we listen to does not do that at all. The talk shows, the Oprah Winfrey shows, and all these,
Mm.
we've always heard how women need to be treated, and we don't even know how men need to be treated. We actually say men need to be treated a certain way. Our women are looking at us saying, no, you don't deserve that. We will tell you how
Yeah.
you need to be treated. That is worrying.
Exactly. You are absolutely right. I agree with you. Now, I want to go back a little bit to the comments that they are reacting to, right?
Mhm.
So, Fresh and Fit say that they do not date black women, right?
Mhm.
But remember, in what they were saying, they didn't necessarily say they don't date black women because the women are black. They mentioned behavior. But now, what I want to do here is I want to analyze, are their conclusions sound? Is what they are saying reasonable, right? So are they categorizing black women as difficult and ratchet appropriately? Is that justified to any extent? Because now we are looking into facts. It's not just how we feel about these issues.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
the reason why Fresh and Fit were saying that they don't date black women was not because the women are black, like I said, right? He mentioned annoying and ratchet. Those are behaviors, not race. Those behaviors can be found in any person, man or woman, any race, any color, any national origin.
Mhm.
The question then becomes, are those characteristics found more in black women than in women of other races? Right.
Mhm.
And I submit to you that I think the answer is yes. Why do I say that? I'm glad you asked. Now,
I didn't ask, but it's okay.
it's rhetoric. Now, listen carefully. So, number one, black women have a higher number of out of wedlock motherhood in the United States, which means they have kids, the father is not there, and so on. They are number one. Number two, black women lean left politically, meaning they ascribe to a political ideology that is against the general traditional values about family, parenting, marriage roles, and as far as gender roles. So you see this in how they glorify themselves, saying, I'm a strong, independent black woman
Mhm.
and I don't need a man. Things that are very common that you hear in black communities. And you also see that by how overwhelmingly they vote for Democrats in general. I'm not saying you shouldn't vote for Democrats or you should vote to Republican. This is just a fact, okay? So the political party that they vote for overwhelmingly, almost 98% of black women vote for Democrats. That's the political party that supports ideas of feminism and they have a socialistic um, political agenda, right? That uh, gives them welfare and supports their livelihood of unwed motherhood and so on,
And to
which is why,
dismantle the nuclear family, like
yeah,
we've always talked about.
which is why the third point, the third reason is black women are the least financially free of natural born Americans. So they make the least money and they are the least educated. And both of those things are caused
Wait. You
by
say they're the least educated?
the least educated. So in terms of degrees and high school graduations and so on of natural born Americans, they
Because
are
I
the
thought there were
least.
studies that were saying that they were, like the most enrolled. Yeah, I heard the most enrolled.
Yeah, there's a difference. And also here we can get into the
I'm just
nuances
playing
of
God's advocate, by the way.
yeah, we can get into the nuances of what kind of education are they getting, what kind of degrees are they getting, and so on and so on. You find that most of them is nursing school, social studies, and stuff like that, right? The fourth one, black women have more abortions than any other race of women, and they have
Yeah,
a
because
well
they put those
documented.
things in our communities.
Yeah, they have a well documented reputation of being loud and bombastic. In general, this is not like new information. People who know
And
Black America know that a black woman will shout, will clap, and do this, and it's a running
what
joke.
does she do? What does she do? Show me what she do.
I'm not going to imitate that. By the way, before you come after me, my mother is black.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, sorry.
And
I just
okay, the last one, black women are more likely to be imprisoned for domestic violence and for
okay.
abusive behavior towards their children. Now, so these are all characteristics that are negative where they dominate. So to say that, man, it might be a good idea not to date black women is not unsubstantiated. There are reasons behind those things.
Okay.
That's all I
Well,
will say.
you sound like you came with the numbers, and I would like to ask the audience. I mean, do you think in some way Kevin Samuels, Fresh and Fit, and the Red Pill community in any way helpful in improving our relation, status, I guess, like just the status of just relations between men and women? Or do you think they're hurting it?
But I have a question for you, dog.
Okay.
Are you down with the brown? Would you
I
date black American women? Black American women.
Yes, I definitely do. I actually think I basically check the whole entire menu. I don't really discriminate. Anything is anything. I'm open to it. I'm looking for
Okay.
people that have people that are easy to be around and people that can align to what I'm trying to do. That's just it. What
Same
you
value
look like,
system.
yeah, what you look like is not necessarily a big thing because I think there's beautiful people in every culture, in every skin, in every hair type, and everything like that. So, yeah, it's not for me. It's a non-starter. Sometimes I get in trouble because people think I need to be loyal to a certain. No, I'm not loyal to no one. I'm loyal to values and things that get
Yeah.
me to my goals.
Yeah,
I was gonna
exactly.
ask you, but for just the risk that you could get
Well,
cancelled,
no, no,
I
no.
wouldn't
I
go.
don't want misconceptions here. Pretty much am the same as you. It doesn't matter what race the woman is, as long as we have the same values, I will date them.
So there you have it, folks. We dabble with everything. we're
Yeah.
not we're not where we were at, where these guys at least seem to be. But yeah, give us a shout, give us some comments, likes, comment on the topic, let us know what you think. Do you think that these guys are on it? I think his channel is Ruskan. Shout out to him. We might disagree on certain things, but it doesn't mean in any way we hate each other. We're all black and we're all people, and we're trying to find answers to solving this entire crisis we're facing. But until next time, the decent blocks are out.
Peace.